So tell us a little bit more, I mean, in your own words, and how are you focusing about your current role?
Yeah. I've been trying to write a book for the last year. I called it The Era of Possibility, but I get so damn busy, I never get to it. Um, but it is, all of us are lucky to be alive at this juncture. If I step back, um, I grew up in India. I came to the US more than 30 years ago. And, after going to school at the University of Michigan, my first decade was spent accelerating the internet. It used to be that we lived in a desktop PC world. You would go to your desk to access the internet. Then we brought the laptop PC. You could access the internet wherever you were, wherever your lab was, wherever you could sit down, in a coffee shop, in a train, flying from here to there, and so on. The next decade, I was fortunate to help Intel get in the mobile internet era with smartphones and handhelds. So if you're using a laptop, if you're accessing the internet, you still have to sit down. The smartphone, iPhone and Android, unleashed us from our lap. You could now access the internet wherever you were, while you're running or standing in a queue and so on. The next decade, as cloud was taking off, you needed some devices to connect to the cloud. And that's when I came to Qualcomm. We started the IoT business and the wearable business. And so if I look back, a decade on internet, a decade on mobile, a decade on cloud. And as I was approaching the third decade, but by the way, just so there is no confusion, I started working when I was 5. Just so somebody's doing the math. So I'm like, what do I want to do for the next decade or two, right? And I like to say, I went back to my first love. Actually, I came to Michigan from India for my master's in expert systems. AI at the time was called expert systems. My first couple of jobs were in AI at Ford Motor Company and Navista. And, throughout my career at Intel and Qualcomm, we have always used AI as a tool, but it has been under the hood. At Intel, it was about big data and ML. At Qualcomm, it was about integrating AI acceleration in IoT and wearables. So, in life, talent is 5%, luck is 95%. Being at the right place at the right time is 95%. So, right when I decided to pivot to the next decade and decided to spend all my waking hours, sometimes sleeping hours, on AI, that's about the time when the ChatGPT moment happened, right? So we'll talk a lot about AI. AI is very different from internet mobile cloud. AI is much bigger than internet mobile cloud. Um, but Priyanka, right now, I'm all in AI. Um, um, when I'm not in deep sleep, I'm thinking about AI. I'm investing in AI. I'm working with very interesting companies, big companies, small companies in AI. Um, I'm teaching AI. Somewhere I read, um, if you read something, you remember 10% of what you read. If you write something, you remember 20% of what you write. But when you teach something, you remember
Yeah.
90% of what you teach. So I call myself a portfolio career in AI. Um,
Hmm.
and I'm working longer, I'm working harder, I'm having the most fun. This is the most exciting time to be alive.